you ever seen a high school student and thought, where is this generation going? We all have, right? We've thought they act different, they dress different, their work ethic is different. They're just different, right? But I want you to pause for a moment and think, are they really different than we were? Because I'm pretty sure that our parents and our community were thinking the same thing about us. You remember the stories they said, well, this generation doesn't know anything. I used to walk uphill twice a day to school in the snow. Or I worked 14 hours in the fields. They don't know what hard work is. So really, is our youth different than we were back then? Think about it. As a community, we are the most important thing to our youth. It is because someone in our community helped us along the way. So really, what is our position right now? We should be looking at our youth and asking, how can we make a positive change for them? I'll tell you, when I was born to a teen mom. And she was addicted to drugs. She was addicted to alcohol and men. So I was not her priority. And so my life looked a little different. When I was 16, I was very fortunate to be adopted. And a community really helped me get through life. I remember the Christmas trees and the gifts and the food that the community provided. But I really remember when I was adopted that life started to change, and there was now opportunity that I didn't see. And it was because of a strong woman and a community that made that for me. And I was all set. I was going to go to the military. The military was a great option for me. They provided your basic needs, and I didn't have those growing up my whole life. And so providing those basic needs was important. The military was going to give me housing, clothing, food, monetary compensation, and medical insurance, things I had not had consistently. And so I thought the military was a great option. And I was all gung-ho to go. A few months before I graduated from high school, I became pregnant. And I watched the walls come down, and I said, man, I'm going to be just like my biological mother. I'm repeating the same patterns. And I remember my adoptive mom walking in, and she walked in with this blanket. And she said, well, you're not going to the military, so what's next? And I remember that blanket being a symbol of understanding that I was going to keep my child. So I was going to keep this baby, but life had to change. And so then I realized I had to make another plan. And so she said, what are you going to do? And I thought, and I said, I'm going to be a teacher. Teachers are impactful, they change your community, and that's what saved me. I didn't say it as eloquently. I'm pretty sure I just said I want to be a teacher. But in these words now, I want to be, sophisticated about it. I wanted to be the person who I looked forward to see every single day. And so I stand before you 25 years later, and I have helped thousands of children meet their basic needs and transition children from school to our community. And I will tell you, there are a few moments in life that I really remember because it reminds me of the impact that adults in our community make for our youth. It is our responsibility to impact their lives, to help them be great, because they are our future. Can we agree? They are the future of where we're going. And so I remember Billy. And Billy was a great kid. He was into welding at the Career Center, and he was, really great. He won state awards. And his senior year, he started acting up. And I pulled him in. I said, Billy, what's going on? And he said, well, high school's about to end. I was a little puzzled because most seniors want high school to end. And so I said, okay, go on. And he said, I have to give up welding. And I said, well, why do you have to give up welding? He said, because in my house, you go to college. There is no choice. You go to college. And I said, well, have you talked to your parents about this? And he said, well, that's not really a discussion in my house. And I said, well, let's make it a discussion. Can we call them in and let me help you have that conversation? So the next day they came in, and first thing, Dad had a chip on his shoulder. What did Billy do now? I said, you know what Billy did? Last month, and he won a state award in welding. You know what Billy did? Last week, he helped a freshman in high school how to weld better than he was doing. I said, what Billy is doing is making a difference. And I said, have you asked Billy what he wants to do? And he said, well, no, he's going to college. So Billy starts talking, and this young man had such passion. He said, you know, I want to be a welder. He was like, Mom, Dad, did you know that I would make more money the first day out of high school than my siblings do after 4 years of college? And I thought, man, this young man's done some homework. All right, we're working now. And he's going on, and you can see him lighten up, and his mother looks at him and says, is this going to make you happy? And he said, yes, it will. And so she said, we're going to support you, son. I saw the mom do the death stare to the dad. Like, don't you dare say anything or there will be trouble later. And so she said they were going to support him, and Dad agreed. So I got to see Billy about 6 years later, and it was last year, as a matter of fact. And I said, Billy, how's it going? He said, hey, I'm going to college. And I'm like, great. A little confused. He said, I've been promoted. I'm a supervisor in a welding company, but I want to own my own business because later I want to help young entrepreneurs be able to come and work in my business. And I thought, wow, we have impacted a community because we listened to a youth, we supported that youth, and we gave him the tools to be successful without our preconceived notions of what children are supposed to do. And so when you think about that, I'm going to ask you, what are you doing to impact the youth in our community? Not looking at them saying they're different. They're not meeting up our expectations. They're not making me proud in the way I expect. They're not saying they're going to the same college, which leads me to Lisa. Lisa was a special needs child. Those that know me know special needs is my heart. Lisa had an IQ of 60. And which means she's mentally retarded for us old folks. For us newer folks, or the new age, it's IDD, intellectually disabled. And she could light up a room. I don't care how bad your day was going. I am telling you, if you walked in a room, she would make you feel better. And she was working at Goodwill, and she was doing a good job, and she just loved it. So I called Mom and said, hey, it's time for our annual IEP. I would like to talk about our transition. And Mom said, oh, sure, no problem. And she comes in, and we're talking. And she's like, yeah, she's going to go to Texas A&M like her brother and sister. And I said, oh, well, you know that Lisa reads at a third grade level, right? She's like, yeah, she'll have an IEP in college. Oh, okay, we need to talk. Okay, actually, she cannot have an IEP in college. You actually can call the Office of Disabilities and have some conversations. But we really need to look at what Lisa can do, what she's doing wonderful, and how she's a positive community member. And Mom got really upset with me, and she walked out. And so I called her the next week and said, hey, I'd really like to finish up her IEP. And she said, well, I've got to wait to get back with Texas A&M first. And so she didn't call me. I saw her at a football game. And she came up and said, and she dropped her head and said, you were right. And I said, well, it's not about being right. We just want to do what's best for Lisa because Lisa makes a difference every day at work, and she is a happy, healthy young adult in our community, and that's what we really want, right? We want to see our youth grow up to be happy, healthy adults in our community. And so I tell you these 3 stories to tell you it doesn't matter if a child goes to work, if they go to trade school, if they go to the military, or if they go to college. What matters is that we are helping young adults find their place. We are listening, and we are being good, active community members to support them in what their journey is. Because that's how we make change in our community. That's how we solve crime, and that's how we get our young people to be successful. And so I challenge you today. I challenge you today to make a difference by being a mentor, by being a listening ear, and being the adult that our youth need today.